When it comes to electric cars, Tesla's seems to be the benchmark for what you'd expect in terms of range, the charge speeds, the space in the car, and so on. But this, the Model Year 24 Polestar 2, can give you up to 406 miles on the WLTP, which is a lot. Let's talk about it. If we start with the design, they haven't actually changed much when it comes to the exterior. A lot of the changes that's happened to the Polestar 2 is actually underneath, which we'll also talk about as well. So if we look at the front here, a lot hasn't changed, apart from this grille, if you see what we're saying here. So they've changed what used to be the grille that used to be there before. They've replaced it with this Polestar 3 sort of design, which houses all the smarts. So when it comes to the radar, the cruise control system, the safety system, it's all housed in this area that's called the smarts area, which looks pretty cool. I like this badge. I like what they've done there. Over in the headlights, it's still LED headlights there. That hasn't changed at all. It's still pretty much the same thing that you get from the previous version. So again, pretty much keeping to the true Polestar DNA. Over on the side, things looks pretty much the same as well, but what's changed is the 20-inch alloys that we now get. I still love the gold sort of finishing, or is it copper gold? I love that finishing on there as well, which looks pretty cool. You can spec the wheels as well for different designs if you want to do so. One thing I do love that Polestar do really well is this wing mirror here as well. It's pretty much bezel-less, which looks very snazzy, very neat. I love what they've done there. I love that they write this on the car as well. Polestar 2, 82 kilowatt hour battery option, 350 kilowatts in terms of power, and I just love how clean and just minimalist it looks here. You got your charge port here. We'll talk about the charge speed in a bit as well. But yeah, your charge port is here, which has gone up in speed as well. So some of the changes that they have done is in terms of the battery, the charge speed, and also how efficient this is as well. They've also moved this from being on a single motor variant. They've moved it from being front wheel drive to rear wheel drive only now. So that's pretty epic in terms of the drive and dynamics that brings to this and how efficient that it's going to make the car. And also this 20-inch alloys as well, I'm not sure how that's going to affect the handling, but we'll talk about that when we take it on the road to drive it, and also the road noise that would add to the car as well. But we'll talk about that again when we start driving the car. Over on the back, it looks very similar again to the predecessor with the LED, tail light. It looks very nice with a long bar on the back as well. I like it. Some of the things here that we talk about, boot space. But before we get in the boot, one thing I don't really like is the fact that they've placed the boot opening button here. It's too low. I don't know why they've done that and not just place it, maybe integrated with a logo or something. Anyway, you can also use your key fob as well to open the boot. If you press and hold the boot opening, you can also do that. So for example, if we just do press and hold, that should pop open the boot so you can get in it. Once you get in it, you get big boot space as well. You're talking 405 litres of boot space in here, and that will go up once you fold the seat down to about 1905 litres of boot space. I leave all numbers on the screen in case I'm saying the totally wrong numbers here, but you do get 405 litres of boot space here, which is very spacious. But what I also love is the fact that the opening is very big as well. So this is very wide, so easy to place all your items in the boot. And this space is very good. It's decent in terms of all the competitors on the market. In here, you also get this divider. So if you have stuff that's muddy or whatever, you can divide them up and place them in here without having to worry about that. There's also hooks here for your shopping bags if you wish to do so. And this is very sturdy as well. It doesn't go anywhere. There's even more space here to store things like your charging cable or whatever you want to put in there, you can actually do so. So plenty of space in here in terms of boot space. There's also a front as well, which is around 35 litres. So you can also put your charging cable in the front if you want to do that. So pretty good when it comes to the boot space on the Polestar 2. Over in the back, space is a bit of a mixed bag here in terms of the amount of space you get. It will depend on a person sitting in front of you. So at the moment, this is how my sitting position would be if I was sat in that seat as a passenger. And you can see we have a bit of knee room here, which isn't too bad. Space here for my feet to be tucked in as well. Nice sitting position in terms of my knees. They're not too raised, they're not too low. It's just spot on, I think. And also, we have a transmission tunnel here, which doesn't make sense for an electric car. And that's because this is actually based on an ICE platform, so Volvo's platform. So that's a bit of a shame that we get this transmission tunnel, which takes away a lot of space from the car. Although it feels very cozy here, but I still don't like that transmission tunnel there. You got heated seats available here. You got your charge ports here. So there's a 2 USB-C ports here available to charge your devices. And then you got your climate control stuff here. So we're pretty much manual. So there's nothing digital there. And the seat material as well, it feels very nice and very soft. I like what they've done here, the space here to store documents or chuck in your phone, for example, so it stays nice and secure into place. I love the color contrast here as well in terms of the seatbelt. So we get this orange finishing on the seatbelt, very Polestar. And we get a panoramic sunroof here as well that goes all the way to the back, gives a sense of space when you're sat here. You do have your armrest here with 2 cup holders, nice and secure into place. It's placed forward as well, so your elbow's not going to sink into that position. And then just above that, there's a little cloth here that doesn't feel very premium. It just hides the raw element of this bit. But what you can do though is when you open the boot, you can get through here as well, so you can feed longer items through here from the boot, which is weird because you can't open it from here. I mean, at least I can't figure out how to open it from here anyway, so you'd have to open it from the boot, which is a bit strange. But that's that, and let's close that up. One thing before we go to the front to check it out as well is you do get your armrest in the front as well. But what's weird about it is if you have a bottle in there, you can't use that armrest when you sit at the front. I'll show you guys when I sit over there. But this goes all the way back here, as you can see, which is weird. And with that, it just means that if anyone sat in the middle, this is pretty much in their space and it's gonna bang their knees and just be annoying. And if there's no one sat in the middle, it's just there like a table. They can probably use it for something else, maybe. Not purposefully done by Polestar, I don't think, but that's something to point out. Headroom isn't too bad as well. I'm 5'11", and as you can see, I can sit comfortably well without worrying about my head at all, so that's not bad. One thing though is, as well, if I just close this, you see this window as well is very short. So if you're somebody who might feel a bit claustrophobic, sat in the back or whatever for long journeys, this might be an issue because there's not a lot of gap here. Over in the front, things looks very familiar as well. Nothing much has changed here in terms of the steering wheel, still the same. I mean, everything's nice and minimalist. You have a 12.3-inch display in front of us to display all the vital information that you need. You can even see the charging and power and all that kind of stuff, your battery level, you see all that information on the front. And then there's no head-up display, which is absolutely fine because we do have that in front of us, unlike the Tesla. And then here we have our 11.2-inch display, which is just a tablet. It's run by Google, so it's got Android car operating system on there. You can do different things, install apps. You got YouTube, and you can still do Apple CarPlay in here, but you have to do it via cable. It's not wireless, which is a shame. And we have our gear shifter here, which is nice and satisfying when you push it up and down. It's nice and clicky, which I really like. And it also has this little Polestar lit up logo on there, which is pretty cool. Just the little things that they've added. And you got your volume control here and also like defrosting the windscreen and stuff like that. And then up here we have this logo as well that reflects onto the ceiling, which looks pretty cool. Just this nice little touch that they've added to the car. This has Harman Kardon's sound system here. It sounds absolutely fantastic. You can also modify things in terms of the settings and stuff like that in the car, so you can change like the bass, the treble, all that stuff. It's wireless charging area here and 2 USB-C ports. Only one of them will allow you to use your mirror link stuff, so do bear that in mind. One is just to charge your device. And here we have a cup holder which would hold your bottle very nicely, so decent sized bottle that goes in there, fits perfectly well. And then we open this bit, there's another bottle holder here, so you can put another one there, and there's a space in front of it to store something. So I currently put my wallet in there, which fits perfectly fine for some reason. And then this elbow rest here, as you can see there, once you use this for your bottle holder, you can't then use it, or it just raises really high and it's now uncomfortable. So what you'd have to do is just move it backwards to move it out of the way so your bottle's there. But what then happens is, like I showed you in the back seat, this goes all the way back for some reason, so that's a bit weird as well. So some questionable design choices over there. And then this big area here, for me, is just too big. It's so big that sometimes, as much as it feels cozy here, sometimes it just sort of hits the knees when you're driving for a long period of time. You do have a couple of pockets here, so you can store maybe a phone, stash it there so it doesn't fall out of the car or anything like that. But what you get though is, because this is so big, for my phone for example, it doesn't necessarily sit in there properly. It kind of just looks like it's going to drop out anyway. So that's something to bear in mind. I just placed my phone in here to charge it while we're talking. But yeah, that's pretty much in terms of space. And the material here really nice as well. This like nice cloth finishing on here, just tiny little detail all around the car. There's definitely a great deal of premium feel to the car here, to the cabin, in comparison to the likes of your Tesla, for example. But yeah, feels really nice. So a bit more on the infotainment system. You can see it's very simple and straightforward to use. In fact, some might say it's very basic in comparison to some of the competitors on the market, but I like the simplicity and the minimalism that they're going for here. So up top, we have your camera there, so you can see all around the car, as you can see there for parking and so on. We press this car option. This gives you some of the settings that you can change. So you got things like your drive system, so you can change your steering feel from light, standard to firm. I like firm. You can turn your ESC off for sport mode if you want to do that. You got creep option available there as well, and one pedal drive. One pedal drive is really good, not as drastic as it used to be, but it feels really nice, which I really like. And then you got your assist options here. You got drive support, lane keep aid, you got road sign information, and also gives you speed cameras as well, which I really like. You got driver alert, collision avoidance, you got bliss as well, and so blind spot stuff, and also ready to drive notification, which I love having this because sometimes if I take my eyes off the road, when I'm stopped at traffic lights, this will let me know when it's time to move on again. And then we go to charge here. It tells you your charging information. You can change, the speed and how intense that's going to be. And then you got things like your scheduling, and also, as you see, everything there, charge limit. You can change the charge limit as well to whatever you want it to do to preserve your battery life. And then we could go to more as well. This gives you things like your car status, so you can see how everything's functioning. So like your tire pressure and any extra information that you need to see. You got lock-in information, interior lights, exterior lights, wireless phone charger, mirrors or wipers, etc. If we press this again, we go back to the main option. We can see things like your maps, you got messaging, you got YouTube as well, so you can watch YouTube whilst you're charging your car, for example. If you go to performance here, this will give you some information like G-force and stuff like that. So if I just close this, for example, allow order time, go back out, okay. There you can see your G meter, you can see your launch control stuff, and you can see all this information here, which is pretty cool if you want to do some testing on your car, but I don't see many people using that often. You got range assistant, which I quite like as well. So this will tell you how much potentially you can save, your consumption and stuff like that. So you can see everything. You can switch on eco climates option as well. So you can save a bit of battery in terms of the range that you can get in the car. And then if I just go back out again, you can see things like your Bluetooth player, Apple CarPlay that I was talking about earlier. And then we can go Play Store as well. I'm not signed in at the moment, but this will allow you to download car-ready applications. So not everything's available, just some applications that are certified or allowed to be used in the car for safety reasons. And then we've got settings here. We can change a bunch of stuff here. So for example, sound settings that I was talking about, we can change the sound experience, for example. So if I tap that, you can see where everything is, around sound optimization, and so on. Again, very straightforward. I love the interface as well. You can change your equalizer here if you know what you're doing. You can tweak all this to suit your preference. And then we go back out. We've got things like display settings as well for trip computer and so on. And then you have your Google Assistant here, which is pretty cool. So if I just go back out, you got Google Assistant here. So this is a bit more advanced than just your regular in-car voice activation stuff. So that way you can ask a bit more serious questions in the car, which can be fun when you have kids in the car, for example. You can ask random questions, or even for you, if you want to find out where your nearest restaurant is, you can ask all those kind of questions, and that will work really well. So that's pretty much it in terms of that infotainment system. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Over on the instrument cluster, it's very minimalist as well, very simple. I love the interface, I love the font, just how clean, and I just love how it looks. So you can change the view as well. So at the moment we've got the map filling up the whole screen, as you can see there. If I press this button here, you can then see that gets minimized, and now I can see things like your charge and speedometer and all that kind of stuff. So it's just there, more focused on your driver information rather than the map here, as you can see. So entirely up to you which one you prefer, but I tend to drive with that because I got map on the infotainment display, so I don't need to see that information on both displays. So this is probably the one that I would go for. In terms of the powertrain options, we have standard range and long range options. The standard range has a single motor with 69 kWh battery, whilst the long range options have 82 kWh battery capacity. The single motor standard range option has rear wheel drive. Like I said, everything is rear wheel drive apart from the long range with the dual motor. So this standard range single motor has 272 horsepower or 268 brake horsepower, gives you 490 Newton meters of torque and 0 to 60 in 6.2 seconds with 127 miles per hour top speed, and we give you a WLTP range of 339 miles. Then we have the long range single motor, which will give you 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds, 490 Newton meters of torque, and 299 horsepower or 295 brake horsepower. Again, 220 kilowatt hour single motor, rear wheel drive, and top speed 127 miles per hour. Range, we're looking at 406 miles in terms of WLTP. So if you were to get one, this is probably the one you go for because it gives you a mixture of good range and speed as well. Then we have the long range dual motor, which gives you a top speed of 127 miles per hour as well. Actually, all of them will give you 127 miles per hour top speed. This one, 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds. You have 740 Newton meters of torque, so a lot more power in this one, and 421 horsepower or 416 brake horsepower. And for range, you're looking at 368 miles, and this is all-wheel drive as well. Then this particular one that we're driving today is the long range dual motor with performance pack. So what does the performance pack give you? The performance pack gives you a bunch of stuff in terms of sound system and all that stuff. For range, you're looking at up to 352 miles on the WLTP. Top speed, 127 miles again. 0 to 60 is better here at 4 seconds. Again, still not as fast as performance Tesla, but still pretty good. 740 newton meters of torque, and you're looking at 469 brake horsepower or 476 horsepower. In terms of pricing, it starts from 44,950, and if you go all the way to the one with the performance pack, which is the one we have here, you're looking at 57,950. For charging, as well as upping the battery capacity, they've also upped the charge speeds as well. So the standard range version will give you up to 135 kilowatt charging speed, and the long range version, you're looking at up to 205 kilowatts charging speed. So 10 to 80% in just 28 minutes. And for the standard range, 10 to 80% in 34 minutes. You can also charge your home as well with the 11 kilowatt AC charging on both. And you're looking at the standard range, 0 to 100% in 7 hours, and long range, 0 to 100% in 8 hours. So now that we've got all the stats out of the way, so you know everything depending on which powertrain you go for, this particular one we're in is the long range dual motor, and this has the performance pack on it as well. So it's just a bit quicker on the 0 to 62 figures. So like I said, you're looking at 4 seconds, and this feels very fast. That's no issue at all. So if I put my foot down like now, it just goes and throws everything to the back seat, to the seat. It throws everything down, and you feel the true power of what this thing is actually capable of. So in terms of how fun this is a very fun car to drive. You know, it feels fun to drive. I love the one pedal drive system for long distance driving and whatnot, and that regenerates some energy back into the battery, which is pretty cool. And the steering feels good as well in terms of the steering ratio. You can change how firm it is, as you saw earlier in the settings. And when I've got it in this fully firm settings, I quite like it. It feels nicely weighted, which is how I like to drive. But I like that they give you the option to change that in case you're the kind of person that wants just a bit softer steering. You can do that. Whether you corner in, whether you are driving on a motorway, this has good handling. There's no problems there at all. The corners are just nice and smooth. It just follows the line very easily. Feels comfortable as well, so there's no issues there at all. The suspension here, we have the Holding suspension, which has like 22 settings, which you can adjust in the performance pack, that is. So you can take it to Polestar to adjust it, or if you know what you're doing, you can perhaps change it yourself maybe. But that's something that you can change in the car to help with the level of firmness, the level of comfortability when you're driving the car to suit your preference. It would be nice to be able to change that on the fly very easily. So whether you're changing your driving mode or whatever, it would be nice to be able to change that. The visibility in the car is very good as well in terms of the pillars. They look great. The only issue I have is this head mirror. It's very small and slim, and also right now the headrest is actually raised up in the middle seat, which means now it's blocking my view of the rear. My rear view has been blocked, which is not good. That's not what we want in the car, is it? But generally, in terms of performance, I think it's very good. So handling is good. You know, when you're cornering, it's really nice. The speed is there in terms of power, and the power delivery is really nice as well. You can slam your foot down and get that fast, instantaneous delivery of all the power that this is capable of, which is, it feels nice. Every now and then I'd get people in the car and just do that just to show them the level of power that you can get in this bad boy. So that's something that Polestar have actually nailed. One thing I like about this is, yes, Tesla can be faster and all that stuff, but what Polestar have done here is give us a good balance of speed and all that stuff without compromising on things like your range. The range is good as well, very decent. I know they quoted big numbers on the WLTP, but in the real world, you won't be getting that sort of level. I mean, right now I've got 34% battery left, and it says I'll do 100 miles in terms of range. Do with that information what you will, but I don't think it's all that good in comparison to what other competitors are doing, but it's still pretty decent. I think the 406 miles one is the one you want to go for. So the long range single motor, that's the one that will give you longer range that you can actually use in the real world and not have to worry about charging all the time. The faster charging speed is good as well, which now means if you find a good station, a decent station that will allow you to charge your car that fast, you'll be able to charge your car very quickly, and on your journey you go. The only qualms I have with this car as well is the fact that the 20-inch alloys are quite noisy. So this is an electric car that's meant to have a quieter cabin, but it's not as quiet as some of the competitors on the market, like your Teslas and even the i4. So with those big tires, you get more road noise, and also this potholes and those little bits on the road that's not fully smooth, you will feel everything as you're driving on the road. So that's something to bear in mind. So I think they could have tweaked that a little bit and make it a little bit better in terms of what you can do. But you can opt, I think you can actually buy the smaller size wheels as well, which perhaps would make so much more difference in terms of your driving experience and the road noise on the road. But besides that though, I think it's a fantastic car, and they haven't spoilt what we love about Polestar 2. In fact, they've just improved it and made it so much better for Polestar fans, which means when you buy this, you're going to have a lot of fun in the car and you're going to get loads of value for your money. So I really like it. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you have any questions, drop them there as well. I'll do my best to answer your questions, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.